Welcome to the Metal Boys. I'm Jimmy Metal. I'm with Vitek Metal, and this is Baby Metal. You think that's going to work? Maybe get a couple of thousand hits right there. Baby Metal.
That's good.
Baby Metal. We are Baby Metal. No, yeah, I think just by saying Baby Metal, I think we'll get at least 10,000 hits, Vitek. All right, today on the show, speculating. We're pre-reviewing Opeth's new album, Sorceress. With me today, Vitek, editor-in-chief of Metal Wani. What's going on, my friend?
I'm good, Jimmy. How about you?
Good, good. I feel like Baby Metal. Baby Metal. Okay, another couple of thousand hits right off. Every time I say it, another couple of thousand hits. The press release. You ready? This is the press release that was issued on Opeth's new album. And you could please feel free to comment on this. This is an unparalleled adventure where visions clearly and secretly change, colors mute as if weathered by time, and sounds challenge profoundly. What the hell does that mean, Vitek? I have absolutely no idea what that means. Do you have any clue? Do you have any insight on this? What?
I'm sure the main significance of this set of words which he has used clearly signify that Opeth is just not looking back. They have moved ahead. I mean, there's a lot coming with respect to Sorceress, so we just gotta wait and see how it's gonna shape up. But these words don't sound heavy.
Last album, Pale Communion, the producer was Mikael and Steve Wilson from Porcupine Tree. In my opinion, this was an album with a lot of prog, Jethro Tull, yes, King Crimson, a lot of those progressive sort of inspirations, we'll say. But it wasn't really a solid, every song wasn't solid. I mean, it was just sporadic, progressive pieces all over the map. Very good album. What did you think about the last album?
Well, I am an Opeth fan since their very first album, Orchid. And let me be brutally honest with you, Jimmy, that Opeth is a band that have evolved over the period of time. I love all their albums. Yes, I was disappointed when Heritage came out, expecting them to continue the death metal assault, which they were obviously mixing the acoustic parts and the clean vocals of Mikkel, which we all know everybody loves. But when Heritage came out, it was just in a different direction, and you could clearly see that Michael has kind of lost that interest towards writing death metal songs. Let me remind you that when Heritage came out, and I had a chat with Mikkel where he clearly mentioned that when he started writing this album, he came up with 6 songs similar to that of Ghost Reveries or Watershed. And after those 6 songs, he felt incomplete. And he took the song to the band and said, hey, I don't know, I'm just not feeling it. So those 6 songs are still there. He moved on, he wrote the new songs, and that's what you hear on Heritage, and that's what you hear on Pale Communion, because they both are more like a second phase of Opeth in terms of what, his vision is, in terms of writing songs, getting more into the 70s and the 60s early prog stuff. He mixed a lot of elements, and I won't be even surprised that Sorceress may even be in the same direction. But it's Mikkel Lagerfeld, and his love for 70s and the 80s or 60s prog, it's still there. And I'm sure that's what he is pointing at.
It's interesting because I've been following Opeth since the beginning. He always had that death metal and prog, the clean and the death. And I, for one, as I've been, following their career for the past, 15 years, whatever it is, I've always hoped that he would just become, an all clean singing band. So, like the hardcores, they want that death metal remaining. But as for myself, I've always hoped that they would go in this direction. But as they went into this direction, I found that it sort of lacks some sort of, I don't know what it is. I think it's song structure. Like the songs just sort of go off on way too many tangents. Personally, I mean, when you listen to a Genesis song or a Yes song, King Crimson, there's always some sort of song structure there. But I find in the last 2 albums, like Heritage and Pale Communion, it just goes off on multiple directions, and so much so that you kind of get lost in the woods. Saying that, the producer on this album is not Mikkel. I mean, I'm sure he's there. He's there in the background, poking his head. But we have Tom Dalgarty, if I pronounce his name right, Dalgarty. His previous work as either an engineer, producer, or had his hands in the band is Royal Blood, and is a very a pop metal band. Killing Joke is a post-punk band. A lot, very dark. Ghost, very organic. Doom. We have Proclaimers, Simple Minds, which is very post-punk new wave. What do you make out of that? I mean, what do you think he's going to do to the Opeth sound here?
I'm not entirely sure what he plans to do, but the Pale Communion, I mean, Opeth had gone back to Wales where they recorded this album. They tracked it along with Tom. So, you have the sound of Pale Communion, which I love personally. Moon Above, Sun Below is one of my favorite Opeth songs. I mean, we know Opeth writes classic, long 11-minute, 12-minute masterpieces. So it's one of them, and the production on that album in general was fantastic. And of course, like you said, the song structures, the arrangements are very awkward in terms of Opeth, but that's what makes Opeth Opeth. We know. I mean, he's not that guy who, we'll have two verses and we move back to chorus and come back. Opeth is not about that. It's about a journey which probably Mikkel formulates in his mind. And, I'm sure Tom on this album had clearly understood the vision Mikkel had in his mind, where he's going to take it, and he's just helping out to reach that sound.
As I listen to the other bands that he's either engineered or produced, Tom that is, there's a lot less reverb. It's a lot more darker. His sound, and he's also incorporates a lot of melody in his music. So I mean, you take something like Simple Minds, Proclaimers, and even Royal Blood, very, very melodic. So I guess we could expect the same path as Pale Communion, perhaps a little more melodic, of course organic, and a lot more dark. At least that's what I'm seeing so far. All right, we've had 2 trailers, snippets of music for this album. I don't know if you heard them or not, but I did.
I have.
One of them is like this sort of keyboard solo you would expect maybe in Yes, Relayer or Tales from Topographic. And another snippet is sort of basically, it sounded like Pale Communion music from there. What are your thoughts on that?
Opeth never makes an album which sounds similar to the previous one. Heritage has its own charm, has its own sound, the vision and the direction in which Michael took it. And then Pale Communion took it to just one step above. And I'm sure with Sorceress, it is again in the same vein. He's climbing one ladder, at a time, with every album since Heritage. And look at that cover art. I'm sure many, when they saw that insane, brutal bodies right below the peacock feather, I'm sure many will assume that it is going to be a return to the death metal roots. But I don't know. To be honest, I don't think they even would want to go back to death metal roots.
I think I agree with you on this. I think this is going to be another step up. It's going to be better than the last album, Pale Communion. And I think he's going to get it all together, and this is going to probably be one of their best albums. I don't know, that's the direction I'm looking at. Because I want melody, I want some sort of structure, and I want a lot of prog. And I think the metal has actually gone away, and now it's become just prog rock. It hasn't. It's not metal anymore.
So, and I'm sure Sorceress, long pieces, 8-minute pieces, 9-minute pieces, they're all going to be brutally epic. And when I say brutal, I mean, in the most amazing,
super
sense.
All right, man. So there you have it. Sorceress by Opeth will be released September 30th on Nuclear Blast Worldwide. Vitek, editor of Metal Wani, thanks for being on the show once again. And we will catch you next time on The Metal Voice.